Go for it.
Oh, yeah. It's 2 pre-rolls, starting with Tommy John underwear this summer. Leave the swamp in the Everglades, not in your pants. I'm feeling that here in humid Japan right now. Shop Tommy John's summer collection and get 20% off your first order at TommyJohn.com/JRVP. Save 20% right now at TommyJohn.com/JRVP. See site for details. Also want to thank AG1. AG1 is the way to take ownership of your health. Give you major benefits like gut and mood support, boosted energy, even healthier looking skin, hair, and nails. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/JRVP. That's drinkag1.com/JRVP. 2 pre-rolls this week. We're back. It's America. It's a great country. They don't give a shit about America here. I'm still in Japan, but we're going to talk about sexy bowling coaches, a fake Messi, and ant sex in episode 210 of the Jeselnik and Rosenthal Vanity Project. JRVP.
Junior Vice President.
Konnichiwa, motherfuckers!
What a country that we're from, Anthony. This whole episode's going to be a celebration of that country.
It's a celebration of America. That's why I'm wearing my South Korean baseball hat today. My second favorite country. It goes America #1, then South Korea, then Mexico, then Canada, Belgium. What do you think, Aaron?
What about Japan? Was Japan in there? I had to leave the screen to go get my Yakult Swallows hat. Going to big Swallows game on Friday.
I still haven't. Honestly, if I'm being honest, I still haven't forgiven Japan for World War One. I haven't even gotten to World War II yet. I'm still mad about World War One, and once I deal with those feelings, then we'll move on, and I'll get into that other stuff. But it seems like it could take a while. You know?
Yeah, I've been trying to drum up some excitement here. If you're listening to this, it might be 4th of July. No better way to celebrate the country and your family than listen to the Jeselnik and Rosenthal Vanity Project.
JRVP. Junior Vice President.
But no one seems to care. No one seems to give a shit. They're not even taking the day off. There's no American flags. There's not many Americans.
But see,
I need you to help me.
I've heard, I'm not sure if I've ever been out of the country on the 4th of July, but I've heard that it's great. That independence is a bigger deal in other countries than it is here. Like, we take it for granted. But if you're American and you're in like Europe on 4th of July, they're like, oh, happy Independence Day. This is a big deal. Like, we want to help you celebrate. That I would think maybe the actual day, you might see some flags out there. And I think people would be like, oh, are you American? Oh, let me buy you a drink. Let me buy you some tentacle porn, while you're here to celebrate your independence.
That's racist. There's not a lot of like coming up to you, in the street and speaking English. In fact, I don't think that's literally ever happened in all the times I've been here. Not even once.
But you've been there on 4th of July?
Yeah, last year I was.
And they're big on fireworks in Japan, right? They love that shit.
Love a little fireworks show, sure. Yeah.
On 4th of July in Japan, do they wear like red, white, and blue when they throw themselves in front of bullet trains that day? Is that their thing? Or just maybe just white and blue, and then let the red happen. That's what I would do if I were Japan.
It's a good Jeselnik joke when he starts laughing halfway through.
Yep.
No, I feel like I'm not. I don't know. I don't know if I'm like filling the stereotype of the ugly American, like the loud American family. Like, we're a little louder when we were staying at a hotel last weekend than the average family around there. There's signs all over the place. Don't go into the baths with your tattoos or covers for your tattoo. So that made me feel like an asshole because I bought some special tattoo covers to wear into the onsen, which worked great the first time. And then they just started like flaking and looking crazy. And so I started covering them up with more tattoo covers. And then those started flaking and looking crazy. the only thing I can tell you of what it looked like was remember that show on Quibi that they advertised where the person's like face just was like starting to like fall apart and disintegrate their whole body. Do you know what I'm talking about?
You know, I know a lot about Quibi, but I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
It was like the one show where they were like, no, and like their whole body was like disintegrating as they were moving or whatever. It's everyone's favorite Quibi show, but that's sort of what my tattoos looked like, and I feel like I was getting a lot of dirty looks. Maybe I was imagining it. And when I said it to Emika, she was like, "No, it's just probably because you're white."
I'm so surprised that I remember when I went to Japan with you, and you were like, "Oh, we can't go to the hot baths or whatever because of tattoos." I couldn't imagine even trying to like just make it work. Being like, "Oh, I hope no one says anything." I would just be terrified the whole time. So you are.
Didn't the Japanese kind of invent tattoos? Like,
yeah, but for them, it's like they want to keep Yakuza out. So they're like no tattoos because that's like a way to say no gangs.
They're worried about Gregg and Yakuza.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
It's like an amusement park being like no bandanas. It's like what they're actually. They're not against the bandana. It's like we can keep gangs out this way. But that seems fun. Do you think maybe they were looking at you because you were just masturbating?
Well, that's how you relax. I mean, they say like it's a great place to relax and. It's fun. It is weird though. It just floats funny in the bath. So like the baths are supposed to be very clean. You wash yourself before getting in, and then you just is sitting there, nowhere to go.
Happy 4th of July, everybody! Gregg celebrating his independence by destroying traditional cultural norms in his wife's home country. We're excited about 4th of July. I don't know what I'm doing. I went to see the Pirates play the Dodgers yesterday. Enjoyed that. They're playing 4 games. I'm only going to go to 1. I thought about going today after the podcast, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to go to 2 in a row. It's too much. 4th of July is a family day, and I enjoyed 4th of July at the Dodger Stadium last year, but they weren't playing the Pirates. I want to root for my team. Liz told me flat out, she's like, I'm rooting for the Dodgers. I'm wearing my Dodgers stuff. You wear your Pirates stuff. I'll sit next to you in the front row. But I'm not going to root for your team. 4th of July.
You might get on TV. They always show the couples that are split. Like that's a trope on baseball broadcasts. If there's a couple there, especially if they're good looking like you and Liz, and one's wearing one team, the other's wearing the other team, that you're on TV.
That's true. Hopefully that happens. I would like it. Listen, I like to just go and support my team. I don't need them to win. Last year, I saw 2 games. 2, maybe 3, and the Pirates swept the Dodgers last year. Incredible series. I enjoyed those games, but I just want to. I'm happy to see the Pirates lose. I just want to be there in person, check out my team. I got my City Connect Pirates hat, which is just okay. This weekend, I am going to Atlantic City. I will be at the Borgata in Atlantic City, my triumphant return for 2 shows, and then on Saturday night, I will be at Charlestown, West Virginia, for 2 casino shows, and then back to LA on Sunday. This is warming up. Last night, I went and had dinner with a new friend of mine, a comedy critic for New York Magazine. Was in town doing a story about like reality TV, and just said, "Hey, I'm in town. If you're free Monday night, let's get dinner." And I was like, "Great, I want to talk shit." And I swear to God, we shared the same opinion on everything. I would be like, "What do you think about?" I name like 5 comics who like I hate these people. When are people going to realize how bad they are? And they were like, oh, I agree with you 100%. I'm waiting for people to figure out these people. And then there was no, like, I didn't get any good gossip. Like, I had more information than they did. It was a fun dinner. Are you
going to give the name?
No, I mean, I don't see the benefit. But New York Magazine.
How about the name of the the comedian that you think needs to be found out as a fraud? That you were just talking about, that you're not a fan.
You know, I'm not going to say that it's aggressive to say the name now in the situation, but if I did, no one would be surprised. Everyone would be like, yeah. And I have given my opinions on this person before. And there's like 5 names right now in comedy that drive people crazy. Like, Aaron, how many podcasts that you do have talked about Matt Rife or had Matt Rife as a guest?
One has had him as a guest and not a lot really talked about him.
What was the podcast that had him as a guest?
Eric Griffin.
Okay. I've known Matt Rife for a little while now. We've never been friends. Like Liz was better friends with him than I was. But he was like a nice kid. He was like a nice guy, doing his best, trying hard. Things weren't working that well for him. And then in the past 6 months, he's become the biggest name in comedy.
Yeah.
He's like late 20s, really good looking, does a lot of crowd work. And again, I'm on record saying I hate the crowd work clips, but comics right now are flipping out about Matt Rife. They're mad about Matt Rife. Couldn't care less. I'm happy for Matt Rife's success. Happy for Matt Rife's, the fans he has. He's going on a huge tour. All those people will be my fans in 2 years. That's how comedy works. All roads lead to Jez. So it was fun. You're not going to see me complaining about Matt Rife. Good for him. It's not taking anything away from me. And then Matt Rife was not the name that I was throwing out there. It was another name, a much bigger comedian that everyone knows, that I cannot stand. And every day get more and more annoyed at the adoration dropped at their feet. Emperor not wearing any clothes, as far as I'm concerned. Aaron, do you know who I'm talking about right now?
I have some guesses. I'll put it in a text chain.
Okay. I'm down with that. It's Bill Burr.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I did it. It's Bill. Any? How else was your week, Greg? How's your 4th of July going?
I mean, the week's been good. You know, we it's the one time I spend like a couple days. I did this last year. I did it again, where we just had like a little boys section of the trip. Me, Walker, and Watanabe-san, just guys. It's like the one time all year that I'll drink a decent amount. The only peer pressure that I'll cave into is like once a year. Watanabe-san will get me kind of drunk, and so it's pretty much the only time we've ever had real conversations, like, because it's hard with the language barrier and stuff. But we had some like real manly talks.
And what is the alcohol of choice? Because when I drank with Watanabe-san, he'd be like, soju? And I'd be like, yeah, soju. Then it's like 20 minutes later, like, sake? Yeah, sake. And then it just keeps going until you're like at scotch. Does he build, or is it like today's the day Greg's drinking with me?
He drinks a lot.
It's a scotch day. Like, is it?
He drinks a lot.
But what
I
type
drink
of alcohol?
sake.
Oh, you drink sake. Okay. Get that fire. I haven't had anything.
I don't want to mix it up. I like the sake. That works.
I'm 14 months sober now, and I'm like, when am I going to break it? You know what I thought about breaking it?
Oh, really?
Not in a, like, I just want to drink again, but in like a certain way where I'm like, I don't miss having like a beer on the couch at home. I don't miss having a beer at the show, a comedy club. I miss like being in New York and like having a day in New York where we're just like, let's go get lunch. We'll get dinner later on. We'll kind of shop around. We'll do stuff that if you were having a couple glasses of wine, that would have been a lot of fun. You know, that I enjoyed those like kind of day drinking in Manhattan was a fun thing, that I missed it then. And I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to do it. But I'm like, one day I will go into this again. One day I'd like to have a beer at the game, you know, but I want to see how far I can get. I'm not going to end at 14 months. I'll tell you that. I want to make it to it's like, it's my choice to go back. Not like, I failed. I fell off the wagon. I am the wagon. Wagoneer. What do you think is the best country to be in on 4th of July? Greg.
I mean, the U.S. would be the obvious answer.
Nope. There is a correct answer. Aaron, what's the best country to be in on 4th of July?
England?
England would be the fucking best. I'm on a record. I don't know if I've said this, but I wouldn't wear an American flag. I'm not like that nationalistic kind of guy. You know, I don't like the red, white, and blue kind of stuff. I think it's kind of cheesy. But if I was in England on 4th of July, I would be head to toe in red, white, and blue, and like the stars and stripes, and I would walk around telling everyone to suck my dick, and they would have to do it. They would have to do it on the 4th of July. I wonder if they hate it there. Did they hate 4th of July? Did they see it like, are we the one that got away? Or are they just like, yeah,
yes.
We're happy for you?
They haven't gotten over it. I feel like American British humor, where we talk about our superiority, our victory over them, they still are like too soon. 250 years later, whatever it is, they feel like it's too soon. It always gets to them. They have the sharp edged humor. Those Brits, they're known for it. But that's how you get to them.
Mm-hmm. We left and we took all your TV channels. You only have 4 now. Suck shit. Independence. National anthem. America the Beautiful. And now it's time for Did We Get Any Notes?
Did we get any notes? Notes. Did we get any notes? Notes. Did we get any notes?
Nope, no notes. I'm still sitting at 2 when it comes to rummy signs. I'm going to wait until I'm going to wait another week, see if we get a couple more, and then I'm going to decide which one. And you know what? I might put up more than one on Rummy's room, because there are 2 sides of the staircase that you could put it on. So maybe I do both. Maybe it's multiple Rummy signs. Maybe I buy another house and use this sign to put on Rummy's other room. We don't know. No one knows. South Korea. And that was, did we get any notes?
Did we get any notes? Notes. Did we get any notes? Notes. Did we get any notes?
And now it's time to take it down to a little place that's had independence since day one. It's Email Corner.
Email corner. Email. Emails are a thing. Email corner. Email. It's email corner.
Guys, emails are a thing. I don't know how many times I have to say it before you get it through your skulls. America's what, 220 years old? 25, 30?
247.
247? Emails have been a thing for 248. Ask George Washington what emails are. What do you think he'd say, Aaron?
They're a thing.
They're a thing. And that motherfucker had wooden teeth. And slaves.
Yep.
I'm trying to think, did we ever spend 4th of July together? You have any great 4th of July memories? I know that,
We must have had a
not part of
vineyard.
Email Corner.
We must have had a vineyard 4th of July.
Yeah.
Did we get there? Because when did the Kennedy
You
guy
arrived
crash the
late,
plane?
but you arrived before 4th of July, I believe.
But I remember, didn't the Kennedy die 4th of July weekend? When did JFK Jr. die?
I'll look it up.
While you're looking for that, I do want to tell you, because I meant to mention it to you in real life, but we can talk about it on the show. It's a few weeks later now. I saw our old friend
July
Shepe again at Sea Shanty.
You saw Shepe? You went back to the shanty? Again,
Not even.
Seafood Shanty. Greg and I worked there for a summer. Greg worked there many summers. And then I'd say our arch nemesis was a guy named Shepe, who was a manager, who we lived at his house for a month in the guest house and did everything we could to make him and his wife angry. And
It was like a week and a half, and then you stole his alcohol on the way out.
I didn't steal it. I did make a phone call to France and talk to my girlfriend in Paris for an hour, but I did not steal the bottle of, like a gallon of vodka that he accused me of stealing. But the
thing that got me though is you swore to me that you didn't make the call to France, and I was like, why didn't you just tell me?
Well, you would have been like, he said there was like a call to Europe, and I was like, Europe? That's if you had been like France, I would have been like, yeah, that was me. But you said called to Europe and stole a bunch of alcohol, and I was like, I was kind of more saying no about the vodka than the phone call. But I told you shortly after that I did make the phone call, and it wasn't like you had to pay for it.
No, I didn't care. I mean, he was, I think, more mad at me. It was a combination that I quit suddenly and then stupidly showed up to work to go drink on the deck at work after quitting and leaving them short staffed. So that was a bad move by me, but he's always around. We went to just get some takeout at the place right next door. It's called the Quarter Deck, next door to the shanty. And while we're ordering, there's Shepe just around the corner watering the plants of the shanty and just kind of looking at me. So he never goes away.
He recognizes you? Do you think he knows? Like that's Greg?
He looked at me last summer. You probably don't remember, but last summer I said how we went and ate there with my parents, and he came and he definitely did he kind of stared me down. He didn't say hi, but he stared me down.
That's great. Give me a beer, Shep.
All right, that's our trip down 4th of July memory lane. Let's go to Email Corner. Chris asks, and this is a long one. I like the short ones, but we're going with this anyways. He loves the show. He wants to hear our take on how ubiquitous podcasts have become in comedy. Some comedians have so successfully monetized their podcasts, it can and is selling out theaters and small arenas. Feels as a fan, certain comedians other than Anthony are now emphasizing their podcast over their act. At what point should we distinguish comedy podcaster before a performing comedian. Gregg is someone who has a very successful non-comedy podcast. Thank you for that. Very. I like that. Are you able to tell if a comedian is more podcaster than performer when you see their act? Same for Anthony. Can you tell if it's like more about the podcast than the stand-up?
Good question. I would say that, yeah, I mean, it's just a way for comedians to make money. You know, it used to be like you could go into you could become a radio DJ, and it was more like failed comedians became the radio DJ. Now I think there's so much money in podcasting, and you can do it whenever you want. You don't have to get up at 4 a.m. to be a podcaster. That I think people are just putting their energy where the money's coming from, and they're bad. Some of them are bad comedians. Like they wouldn't have, if it wasn't for podcasting, they never would have like really made it as a comic. They could have had a living, but the podcast becomes the focus, and then when your podcast is the focus, you can just do stand-up. The people who listen to it will come and just buy tickets. So no one ever gets out of stand-up because their podcast is going so well. There's no reason to ever abandon live performing because you can still always make that money. And so they're kind of become tied together. But your stand-up doesn't have to be that good. They just want to see the guy they're kind of friends with. That's always my biggest fear, is people just coming to see me. Like I've got to live and die by the jokes. And these people didn't have good jokes to begin with. So I don't think it's anything bad. And it's been interesting to see podcasting almost roll back in popularity. I think more people are listening to them, but a lot of podcasts are flat out going away. Ratings are going down, advertising is down, podcasts are getting canceled. That I think there will be like a sea change at some point. But I don't think I think it's bad for stand-up, and then it's taking people's energy away from the stage. But I think these are the comics it's affecting are comics who wouldn't have. You're not losing anything. You know, they're still entertaining, but it's not like they were some like great artist that you're getting like worse work. It's just they're just becoming known for something else. But I'm excited to see what happens.
It's a different form.
Yes, but the two forms feed each other. The acting and stand-up don't really feed each other, but you can, if you're a famous actor, you can go and do stand-up. But if you're a podcaster, you're going directly into those ears, people who will come buy tickets. So I'm excited to see what happens in 10 years with this. If you have people who are like abandon stand-up just to be podcasters, if you'll have podcasters like 5 days a week kind of thing, or if people become go more into the performance side of it, the live performance side. But it's interesting. But again, I've talked about this before, I like having a bad podcast. I will never make a living doing this. It's just a nice little bit of money. I get to tell people when I'm coming around, but I'm a stand-up. These people aren't.
It's not that bad a podcast.
No, but we're not trying. We don't have guests. We're not doing things. We're just, this is the fourth one we've taped today.
A lot of podcasts tape a lot of shows in one day. They just bang them out. And it's
this
almost
is different. This is different. I'm wearing a different hat than last week.
I'm wearing a hat. And some people are just better at podcasting. So I think a lot of these comedians that have successful podcasts, like, for some reason, they're good at podcasting. Whatever they do, podcasting, they create a nice little vibe in the room. It's maybe not about totally just being funny. It's just like a good chemistry between the hosts, and then that works and it catches on. We don't have any chemistry. That's why our podcast has struggled.
No, I mean, I think the chemistry between me and Aaron carries us, gets us through it.
Bones and all.
Bones and all.
No, podcast changed my life. I guess it's obvious because like sports, right? Like podcasts, there's money in podcast. You say how it's contracting, and that's true, I guess, Anthony, to a degree. But people who are doing well in podcasting are doing well in podcasting. And there's a lot of people making their living off of it 5 days a week. I'm making my living off of it now. If I had just been in sports media and podcasts had never come around, like that's a shrinking industry, and writing on the internet kind of went away for the most part. I mean, you can still do it, but there's not many jobs that pay you that well. And our podcast, the Around the NFL podcast, still going strong.
What's our next email?
Jason asks and say, oh, by the way, I wanted to mention Chris did say you were a big inspiration quickly. And he thought it was cool when you complimented that someone who went up on stage inspired by you, because he did the same thing. And he realized it wasn't for him, but he thought it was a cool experience. And he wants you to do your next special in Philly. I do like hearing that some of these listeners were inspired by you to try a stand-up out. Even if it didn't work out, sounds like a cool thing to do.
Give it a shot.
Jason asks and says he's a longtime fan of the pod, looks forward to seeing Anthony in San Diego this December. We've all experienced loss in our life, but yesterday I had to make the decision to have our family dog put down due to a long-lasting autoimmune disease. She was my first dog. My wife and I got her almost 11 years ago as a puppy. Needless to say, she's been there for me through a lot. I want to ask you guys if you have any advice on how to deal with this kind of loss. This hurts me more than most of the other deaths I've experienced in my life. Thanks, Jason.
Great question, Jason. I think about this all the time. I'm always thinking about what is going to happen to me when my dog dies, when Rummy passes away eventually. I'm hoping I get 15 more years with Rummy. And I can't imagine another dog. I know that it's going to be gutting when this dog dies. And I truly believe that people talk about, oh, our dad didn't want to get a dog. It's always the dad who doesn't want the dog. And they're like, oh, we got the dog, and then the dad loves the dog. He's totally wrong. It's like, no, the dad knows he's going to love the dog. He just knows how hard it's going to be when that dog dies. It's the worst thing that can happen. I would rather lose almost anyone in my life over my dog. That's just the way it is. That's human nature. But I think that when
not everyone's nature, human nature.
It is.
That they choose the dog over almost anyone in your life.
I think if they're really honest with themselves, they would choose that dog. When your dog dies, you're going to carry it with you forever unless, and I'm guessing on this, but I truly believe that if you get a puppy, like a newborn puppy right away, as soon as you get that puppy, human nature, like things short circuit, and now you're just all about that dog. And it's almost like a disservice to the memory of your dog who has passed away. That's what I would be afraid of, that I would forget about my dog. I would forget about Rummy, or this dog would do something cool that I'm like, oh, I like this dog so much that I would be like, oh, do I like this dog more than my old dog? That's the fear. But I do believe that if you get a puppy right away, that now your focus is just on the puppy, and now you're all about this new life instead of mourning the old life. And I don't know if that's the right call, but I do believe that emotionally, it would just turn everything off. And you would be able to focus on this new thing. Do you want to do that? Do you want to mourn and be a little upset? I think so. I think I would. But if it's really painful and miserable and you want to just end, get a new puppy right away. Maybe a kitten would work as well. I don't know. Definitely not a turtle. I would think little puppy. Same name, maybe? It's to honor your dog, but it's tough.
Well, I think it's unique to everyone, but what you're talking about, that's life. Why so afraid to experience the most basic part of life, which is death? It's the one thing we're all guaranteed. I'm not saying you run into open arms, but you're going to feel that pain. And I think everyone goes through it a different way. But I think talking about it, doing stuff to honor the old dog, the memory with your wife, I think that's good. Probably will make you feel better. That it doesn't. You don't just totally ignore it ever happened. And getting a new puppy, sure, would be nice to replace it. But I don't think it's gonna take it away. But I don't think not having the dog or not wanting to talk about it or getting a new dog to replace it, that you need to do that. I think you're gonna have to go through it. That's life. That's part of life. I'm not saying dogs are practice for losing people, because it's just another thing you lose. You're gonna lose a lot of things. I try to impress that on my kids a little bit, that hey, death's gonna happen. Let's get used to it.
So you got two different opinions. You've got the wrong one, and then mine.
Well, Anthony, you act like you're Mr. Tough Guy. You're running scared. You don't want to have to feel anything. You're gonna have to deal with death a lot. If you're lucky, like Anthony and I have been, you might not have to deal with it much for your first 40-something years of life. But you're gonna have to deal with it quite a bit.
Bravery is not an absence of fear. Bravery is having knowledge, being afraid, and doing it anyway. And that's what dog ownership is. Again, it's like having 2.5 kids. It's that kind of level of commitment that if you only have 2 kids, you can't even imagine. 2 kids and no dog, you cannot imagine it. What I deal with on a daily basis, what the sort of Damocles hanging over my head that one day will fall. In a perfect world, Rummy and I died together. Rushing towards each other with grenades in our hands, like at the end of a movie.
Then you just clash or something, and that's it.
That's exactly what it is. It's like Monday Night Football, 2 helmets coming together, boom, it's over. That's ideal.
All right, Ken asks, what are your thoughts on the different designations between sport and activity and a game? For example, can you please categorize the following? Pickleball, softball, cheerleading, gymnastics, marching band, and cornhole. I welcome your insight into other fringe controversial categorization. Thanks for doing what you do. Ken is looking forward to seeing you in Pittsburgh, Anthony.
Pittsburgh Ken. I love this question. I love trying to decide the sport, activity, game. And Aaron, I invite you to join us in this.
Yep.
All right, let's see if we all agree, because I feel like it is kind of like it comes from, it's almost like an instinct of what they are. But I think we can agree on all of these. So pickleball, is it a sport, an activity, or is it a game? I'm going to say, I don't know if this is controversial, this is just how I feel. I'm going to say activity. What do you guys think?
Man, I think it's the beginning of the end. It's a hobby. I don't even think it deserves to be with the rest of these activities or games. It's nothing. It's what every crypto bro is doing this year before he chases, something else like 2 years from now.
Again, your options are sport, activity, game.
Activity, I guess, out of those.
Mm-hmm. Exactly what I said. Aaron.
I'm just saying, I don't put this. The rest of these are all fun things. Pickleball, put it to the side.
Aaron, what do you think?
It's a game because there's a score.
Okay, that's how you decide between activity and game. Okay.
Yeah. But
Okay.
It's not a sport because you probably don't sweat.
No, I think Aaron, what you're using, what do you call it? The things you're using to judge these are off. Although I do think if there's a score, is it more of a game than an activity? I don't know. But I'll accept that. We got two activities, one game.
You can be a
for pickleball.
professional player, so I guess maybe a game.
For now. I would accept game. There's an argument for sport. Softball. Activity, game, sport.
I mean, that was insulting that they even are asking this. That's a sport.
Yeah,
That's
it's a sport.
rude.
That's a sport.
It's rude.
It's a sport.
It's rude.
Okay.
Just one last night.
Cheerleading. Sport, activity, game.
I think that's a sport.
I would
think it's a
accept
sport,
I would
'cause-
accept sport and activity. It depends on what level you're at. It gets to become a sport
Right,
when you're like throwing them around and all that shit. But you can be like, if you can be a fifth grader doing it and you're just like jumping around, then that's an activity.
Yeah.
So I could see it going either way, but no disrespect to cheerleading. There's different levels of it.
Yeah, but baseball you play as a fifth grader, it's still a sport then, even if they're not that good at it. Yeah.
Yeah, but
You
it's
can get
still,
hurt
there's
a lot.
more involved. You're not just standing on the sidelines like jumping up and down. You're actually doing things, even as a kid.
Check out Cheer on Netflix. These women are warriors.
Gymnastics. Sport, activity,
Sport.
game.
Sport.
I think, again, I'm going to go sport, or I would also accept activity depending on your level and what you're doing. You can just go to a gymnasium and just do gymnastics. You can go tumbling or whatever. That's an activity, but it is a sport. Aaron, you agree with that?
Yep.
Marching band.
Activity.
Activity, 100%. Cornhole.
That's a game.
I'm going to say game. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Thanks
You
for
got
writing,
any
Ken.
more you just want to throw out there?
Billiards.
Billiards.
Game.
Game. Lawn darts.
Game.
Game. Tiddlywinks.
Game.
Could be an activity.
Has anyone ever even seen Tiddlywinks?
Going through different names of activities and deciding if they're games, sports, or activities. What is that?
Activity.
I guess an activity.
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 Activity. It's fun to say activity. Say it. Activity.
Activity.
1, 2, 3. Activity.
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 1, 2, 3. Activity.
Activity.
And that was
Academy.
And that was Email Corner. Shine on. Email.
And that was Email Corner. Diamonds around the world unite. Diamonds around the world unite.
And now it's time for
Ad copy.
Tommy John.
Tommy
It's
John.
back.
Tommy John. Guess what I'm wearing right now?
Tommy John.
Tommy John. That's right. Guess what I wear
Guess
every
what
day?
I'm wearing?
Tommy John. I got a fucking ton of the black ones. I got some blue ones that are a little shorter. I got some gray ones a little shorter. I got the red and white striped ones that they sent me for 4th of July that I'm wearing right now because America. I love them.
Wait, mine all have like designs on them. I don't go with the plain ones. I want a little something extra for my Emeka to look at.
I like the black. I like the black long ones because when I'm at the gym and I'm wearing shorts, it looks like I'm wearing like athletic shorts underneath them. Not like it doesn't look like underwear. You know what I'm saying? It looks cool.
Right. Well, it's summertime, and Tommy John's summer collection. They're really pushing it. It's a cooling solution to sticky situations. It's hot here in Tokyo. It's like 90 degrees. It's humid every day. And they have dozens of comfort innovations like breathable, lightweight, moisture-wicking fabric with 4 times the stretch of competing brands that keep you 7 degrees cooler than cotton. I can feel that. It's like 90 degrees out. I put my Tommy John's. It's suddenly 83 degrees.
I'll tell you, I call it swamp crotch, and it's uncomfortable and it sucks. When you're in the road, you're traveling, you're doing stuff, like you don't want, and it gets hot. You don't want swamp down there. Tommy John, whatever it is, it keeps it cool. Like Aaron's got a swampy crotch that if you tried to shake hands with his penis, it would just slip right out of your hands. My crotch is cool. It's like, it's breezy. You want to grab my penis, you can really grip it. You can really hold it.
And that makes sense. When I saw Aaron playing softball that one time, you know what it says on the back of his jersey?
Swamp crotch.
Swamp crotch. Swamp crotch. Avoid swamp crotch. Don't be like Aaron. Be like Anthony.
Yes.
You can bet your balls you're always covered by Tommy John's best pair you'll ever wear, or it's free guarantee. If you're into Tommy John, you become a Tommy John customer for life. You're a fanatic. That's what I am. That's what Anthony is. Shop Tommy John's summer collection. You get 20% off your first order at TommyJohn.com/JRVP. Save 20% right now at TommyJohn.com/JRVP. Again, TommyJohn.com/JRVP. See site for details. Our next partner is AG1, the daily foundational nutrition supplement that supports whole body health. I drink it every day. I do it after I work out lately. It makes me feel good. It almost makes me feel like I'm recovering faster. It's hard to know where to start with supplements. I don't want to deal with that. I just want to have a bunch of vitamins every day. And I would recommend, I mentioned on the last show how we packed so many travel packs on this trip. Filled up half a suitcase. What I did not pack, and what Emeka was smart enough to, was the canister, was the bottle that they give you. They give you a couple bottles. They're nice like that when you first get it. Because now I'm stirring it up in just some cups here. That's a gots to go situation. It's a problem. Bring your canister with you.
I got like 10 canisters. I got so many canisters. I love them. I honestly, I have one at home. I have one I take on the road.
Bottles is another way to say it. I don't know why I said canister.
It's got a screw top. It's cylindrical. Yeah, it's a canister. I don't think it's a bottle. Listen, AG1, I do it every day. I've been doing it every day for over a year now. I can't imagine doing life without it. It works. It's helpful. It's not like it doesn't change your life, but it improves your life, improves your gut health. You're on the toilet, you know where that AG1 is going. I'll tell you that. Aaron, what do you think?
No doubt. How's Aaron getting involved here?
I asked him what he thinks.
Love it.
Yeah.
AG1 delivers comprehensive nutrients to support whole body health. I trust it. 1 scoop of powder in water once a day. If you want to take ownership of your health, try AG1. Get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and those 5 free AG1 travel packs. That comes with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/JRVP. That's drinkag1.com/JRVP. Check it out.
And that was
Ad copy.
Hey, Aaron, let's get to headlines.
Let's do it.
Let's get the headlines. Let's get the headlines. Let's get the headlines.
Speaking of Independence Day, did you guys watch And Just Like That last week?
No.
2 episodes of And Just Like That, the Sex and the City sequel series. I loved watching it last. I've never watched Sex and the City. I may have seen an episode here or there, but I wasn't like a watcher. I watched and just like that, and I love that they brought stand-up comedy into it. They would go to stand-up comedy concerts a lot. This made me laugh. Che Diaz was fucking horrible, and in like the second episode, they show Che Diaz doing stand-up, and she's at the Comedy Store. Like she's in LA. She's literally on stage at the Comedy Store, and she says, I don't know how to handle LA. LA is expensive. I woke up last night. I took an Uber. People in LA are lazy. I woke up in the middle of the night last night. Took an Uber from my bedroom to the bathroom. It was too expensive. And the audience is laughing at this. And I'm like, what, is she bombing? What's going on? And she literally says, like, it was too expensive. And then she goes, that's my time, everybody. Thanks a lot. And I honestly think, like, she just bombed. Che Diaz just ate it. And now the episode's going to be about Che realizing she's bad at stand-up. And then after her set, everyone's like, Che, that was so amazing. You're incredible. And she looks upset, but she's not upset about her set. She's upset about her weight, I think. It comes out later on in the episode. It's amazing to me what comedy is in the world of Sex and the City. I love it. I'm going to watch every episode.
Why are you bringing this up now? Wasn't this from like 2 years ago?
No.
This topic?
The second season just premiered a couple weeks ago. And I know like no one here watches it. It's just a thing for me and Liz. But if you're a Che Diaz stan, like I am, then, and just like that, it's great.
But like what I think you aren't considering here is like, how would the Uber even bring you from the bathroom to the bedroom? I mean,
that's comedy, bro.
It's crazy.
That's comedy. You know, it doesn't always make sense, but it makes sense in your heart.
I'm so happy we're talking about the Stephen F. Austin bowling coach. I meant to send this to you, and it made it into the show anyway, so I'm so happy. He was the assistant bowling coach, which is a crucial job. It's the second most important job to the head bowling coach. And he was forcibly resigned, essentially, after it was learned that he was having an affair with a player. And this wasn't just any assistant bowling coach. This was the husband of the head coach.
So was it a co-ed bowling team, or was it like, is there a men's bowling coach at SFA, or is it just?
Great question. I think it's a women's bowling team, but
because I would
that's
think,
a great question.
Like, I love bowling. I enjoy. Aaron, do you bowl?
Yeah.
Yeah, you look like you bowl. I enjoy it. I don't know. I'm not good at it. I don't put the spin on it. I just throw the ball down there, but I enjoy it. I'm okay. I have fun. I would think that any tip for bowling that would work for a woman would work for a man. Like, you wouldn't be a woman's bowling coach. You'd just be a bowling coach.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I would.
But you are. I just I found this out. It's one of the only sports, I think, that is women only, if I'm reading this right. But yeah, I don't even think there is men's NCAA bowling, but there is women's.
Anyway, this guy gets, and how does he get caught having an affair with a student? Not just a student, but a member of the team. How did he get busted?
I'll look into that. I'm not sure. I think the wife saw text messages. Pretty typical. Saw some text messages from her husband to the player.
Now, the reason we're talking
phone.
about the story, like, we don't really care. We don't really care about this story that much, except for the article interviews the guy who got caught. Now, you would think that it's bad to sleep with someone you're coaching. That's grooming. That's bad. When your wife is the head coach and you're the assistant coach, it adds another level of delight. And then he says, and I'm paraphrasing. I read this article weeks ago.
You want me to read the quote?
Yes, please read the quotes for me. I love these so much.
Well, there was a couple different angles he took, but I'll start with the one where he said he knew it was kind of a no-no, but there's not a rule saying it can't happen. Mm-hmm. There's not a law saying that I'm going to go to jail for doing something like this. There's nothing in stone. I guess it's an ethics code, like we frown upon it, but there's no rule. There's no law.
And who is he? Is he just talking to a journalist, or is he?
Yeah.
It sounded like he was like in an interrogation room talking to a cop. I love that his excuse for cheating on his wife, that his wife was like having him, that his wife like kept him too busy, that he had to fuck around. Like,
yeah.
Give me that.
So he kind of blames it on Amber. I'll read that part too. He said, "Look, I was the stay-at-home dad for 5 years with the kids." Who can read this quote, by the way? I'm sure they are. I was a stay-at-home dad for 5 years with the kids, while Amber got to go off and coach the team. And when she'd come back, I'd run practices on top of taking care of the kids when she was back. When they travel again, I'd sit back and take care of the kids. Then when I got hired, she almost forced me to run practices. I was a volunteer the entire time before that, trying to help out Amber. Once I got hired as an official assistant coach, one thing stemmed for another. I felt like I was doing too much for what I was being valued at. He deserved it. He deserved that affair as payment.
If you get
Amber.
caught having an affair, if you get caught cheating on your wife, take the L, take the divorce, and just move on with your life. The idea of trying to blame your wife is so fucking funny. To be like, bro, you don't understand. I had to sleep with a student of someone that I was coaching because my wife is just a fucking bitch. Like, it's hilarious to even try to explain yourself. Hey, you wanted to get laid by a young girl who had to listen to you. It's a tale as old as time. Aaron, that's how you met your wife, right?
Yeah. Bowling
Yeah.
team.
Yeah. I mean, I just think it's very, why not just take the L, lose your job, go do something else? I wonder if the girl's still with him. Or she's like, this is so embarrassing that you just talked about how you had to raise kids and run practices for bowling. What do you think it's like running a bowling practice? What do you think that entails?
Okay, so let me try to guess. You'd be like, okay, Amber, you're on lane 1. Christina, you're lane 2.
Here's my impression. Hey guys, let's keep it bowling. So, hey Jessica, you keeping score? Come have sex with me. Bowling is just sleeping with your students.
Okay, but what if? Okay, sometimes though you take a break or you go get lunch or whatever, and then we get back. Okay, I'm one of the athletes here. We get back to practice. You're the assistant coach. All right, coach. What's next?
Who do you think you are? I am. I think that's what they yell all the time.
I thought you were going to tell us to go bowling. The other quote that
Hey,
I
guys.
really loved that he said.
Hey, Jensen, how many holes are in that ball? Okay, carry on.
The other quote that I really loved was he said that this story, and this was saying how there's no law against it. Fucking Amber made him take care of those kids for 5 straight years, and he wasn't even getting paid for being an assistant coach for a while. He deserved it. But he said the story was only, quote, amplified to the magnitude that it is now because of the national championship caliber team we've developed.
Love this. I don't remember this quote from reading the article, but being like, the only reason people care about me cheating on my wife with a young girl whose parents pay my salary and puts their faith in me is that we're just too fucking good. If I wasn't such a great coach, if I hadn't been running the living daylights out of these bowling practices, no one would care about which student I stick it in instead of my wife. This guy's an all-timer. This is what I assume every bowling coach who's ever lived is like. I want to hear from the wife.
My favorite.
I want to hear from the wife.
Yeah, first of all, they're keeping her as a coach. The college hasn't really said much other than like we stand beside Amber, of course. And they are a great team. Now he had to say national championship caliber because I think they did lose in the finals. They came in second. He couldn't say national championship winners. So maybe if he hadn't, divided up the team there, they would have won. But they're standing by Amber. Amber's staying on as the coach.
I mean, good for Amber, I guess. Is the girl he was sleeping with still on the team, or is she like, peace out? I'm gonna bowl.
She was a senior. She was a senior, they said, so she wouldn't be returning anyways. There is a nice picture of the entire team, but I don't know who's who. I don't even know if Amber's even in the picture.
Is anyone on the team of color?
Maybe someone is half.
Guess what half they are. Guess what the half is. Guess what it is.
No, I'm not. But that's maybe. Or I don't know. Or not. It's possible that they're not.
Hey, how about our listeners send us some SFA bowling gear? Buy it for us. Guess our size.
I'm a small. Please. I would love it. All right, let's go to the next headline.
I want to go bowling now. Good one. I'm gonna bowl. Maybe I'll bowl.
It's funny. I am going to go bowling. I think I'm literally going bowling today. It's supposed to be thunderstorms. It's like 90 something degrees. It's a nice indoor activity. The kids love it.
I've been bowling this whole time.
What's your guys' high
Our
scores?
next story is
My high score?
Yeah.
is set in Florida.
I got into. I think if I want to say either like 180 or like 200 something. I think I got into the 200s barely one point. I was really feeling it. And again, I don't have like a strategy. I just throw it down there, but I do enjoy it. How about you, Aaron?
225.
225.
Yeah.
I would say you're probably better.
Wait,
than me.
that's your all-time high, or that
Yeah.
was like an average or something?
It's the all-time
crazy?
high. Yeah.
What's your all-time high, Greg? Do you remember?
I remember that I actually got 233 once, and I don't think I've ever broken 200 other than that, and almost never like 180. But I got 233 one time. Had a magical game.
I might be number 3 in here. I might be below 225 as my high, but I'm okay with that. It's about having fun with someone who looks up to you that you can twist into a sexual relationship. That's what bowling's all
I
about.
didn't break. I played with the kids though a couple weeks ago, and one of the games I didn't even break 100. So it's not consistent here.
You know what my high score is? A senior girl. I've ruined a fucking life.
On the same night, recently in Florida, Anthony's really pleased with himself. This is worth subscribing to the YouTube channel just to see how happy Anthony is right now. I've literally never seen him so happy. Not even when I asked him to be the godfather of my kids.
That's not true. The first time I was really excited. The second time I was like, come on. I already did this.
On the same night, 7 patrons of a sushi restaurant in Florida were unknowingly drugged with methamphetamine. An unemployed man was spotted dressed as a chef in the sushi bar kitchen that served this food that he did not work at. I think that I'm no cop. I'm saying these events are connected. These events are connected.
I'll tell you what, I am a cop. And this guy who dressed up like a chef and went into a sushi restaurant and started handing out meth, Aaron, you know who he is?
Oh, I can
He's the
gather.
JRVP listener of the week.
I'll tell you right now. Now the JRVP listener of the week. Now the JRVP listener of the week. The JRVP listener of the week.
He's the JRVP listener of the week for sure. Let me tell you why. Sometimes you want to do some crime. Sometimes you wake up and you're like, I want to do some crime. And I want to do something fun. No one has ever thought of dressing up like a chef, walking into a sushi restaurant, and handing out meth. You know how like every Halloween they're like, watch out, there's some gummy candies that are marijuana that look like no one wants to give away their weed to little kids. Nobody wants that. The idea of taking meth and giving it on sushi, you would think...
Well, it's not giving it away. He put it in the food, and the customers unknowingly ate it.
He didn't charge them extra for the meth. They charged for the sushi, and they just got
He
meth.
didn't even work there.
He must have been so fucking good at making sushi for them not to call him out immediately. If I tried to... I eat sushi all the time. I'm going Thursday night to celebrate my 2-year anniversary with Liz. Happy anniversary, sweetheart. I love you. I'm going out to sushi, and if someone just randomly made a sushi, I would know. I would be like, this isn't real. Does it have meth in it? Because that's what I would think. So this guy must have been either like a former sushi chef or hated this restaurant. Like, who was working in this restaurant that they wouldn't see someone walk in? Have you ever been to a sushi restaurant? It's a small kitchen. You know everybody's name. So I don't know how long he was back there, but it is a catastrophic failure across the board. Much like if you eat sushi and you bite into something crunchy and meth-like, don't eat any more sushi. Ask to speak to the manager.
I think they said he got it. He somehow got it into the food. Somehow got it into the soy sauce. There's a lot going on here. I don't know how he got it into the soy sauce, but they tested the soy sauce afterwards, and it tested positive for meth.
I'm to even think about putting it in the soy sauce. I would think mix it up in the rice. You know, maybe hide it in some spicy
I think
tuna.
you did.
If you eat meth, do you get high?
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
I know you got to smoke it. I don't know if you eat it. Aaron said, "Oh yeah," as if it like Yeah, let me tell you about last night. Aaron, have you ever eaten meth?
Who's to say I haven't today? Who's to say?
Like, it's just like he mixes it up in his AG1.
That'd be awesome. If AG2 comes out and it's got meth in it.
So the most surprising part of this story is that this guy really was a sushi chef who was recently fired at another nearby sushi restaurant.
So he wants revenge on sushi restaurants in general. The idea of going into it, like if he had gone back to the same one and done this, I'd be like, okay, he's getting revenge. But going to a different sushi restaurant is God level. There's a reason he's JRBP Listener of the Week.
He recently quit because he was told he was getting a raise. He never received it. He went to the, he got into some fight. He showed a lot of erratic, possibly mentally ill behavior at his old restaurant. Was not a reliable employee in general. But he then went into this new restaurant, told everyone in the kitchen when they questioned him that he was recently hired, was like acting weird. I don't know how long he stayed there. I don't think it was that long. They sort of realized like, what? Like he wasn't recently hired. They told him to leave. And then he just like hung out in the parking lot for 3 hours. So that really makes me think he's not a good criminal. Like, I don't know if he wanted to see the people leaving that he poisoned or if he just was too crazy. But he put it in all these people's sushi. There's 7 people that this is my favorite part of the story. 7 people ate the sushi. 2 immediately started vomiting. 2 started feeling bad and then went to the hospital. They're the ones that ended up kind of getting this guy caught because they got tested at the hospital and they found meth. And 2 other parents just said that they stayed up all night talking to their kids and didn't even know that they were drugged, but they were like, it was kind of weird thinking back that we were up till like 2 a.m. talking to our kids.
I can't believe
4:30 a.m.
I can't believe the restaurant.
4:30 a.m.
The restaurant should be like, hey, everybody, we just had to kick a guy out of here who was in the kitchen. Maybe everyone gives us back the food and we'll bring you more food. What? Why? Like, you know, like you ever go through TSA and then they're like, oh, actually, one of the machines wasn't working. Everyone's got to go back out and come back through. I would think they would do it at the restaurant. I don't know if this restaurant's going to stay open, but maybe it gets more popular. It's like a Starbucks sushi restaurant kind of thing. It's
like it's also one of those ones that does the hibachi too. So it's like a hibachi station. Okay. You got the sushi station. It's like a steakhouse, but the sushi, they're trying to mix it all up. It's in Florida. It's called Nico Japanese Steakhouse. I want to check it out now.
I'd go. I always think it's funny how kitchens are okay with drug use. A lot of times. When I worked at Applebee's for a summer, after my freshman year, in between freshman and sophomore year of college, I go back and I worked as a dishwasher. And when the guy is training me on dishwashing, he's the manager, and he goes, back when I started in kitchens, we would take a little meth, and we would get through this so fast. The boss would come back and be like, "What do you guys? Wow, you guys are killing it back here. What's going on?" And we were like, "I don't know, boss." And he's like, "So if you ever want," and I was like, "Do you think I'm going to do meth to wash dishes at an Applebee's? Do you think I give a I'm in college. No. Keep your meth. I'm just going to wash dishes sober." Maybe I was high. Actually, I don't know. I wasn't smoking pot back then. I would have drank if they had let me, but they didn't. But they were very much like, if you want to do meth, you can. I bet this guy did meth in the kitchen for a while, then got mad at the restaurant industry. They didn't give him the raise. He's now addicted to meth, and he's like, fuck it, I'm going to give some back. I'm going to go to the closest restaurant to my place with my meth and give everyone meth.
I would even think if it was on his hands and he was cooking with his hands, he would just get in there.
I got to think he was there to give them meth. I don't think he was just on meth. Yeah, just happened to get some. He was I'm gonna let me poison some people. He was
told. He was told by the manager like 3 times. Eventually, you gotta leave. You don't work here. But he went in there and he, gave enough that 7 people were eventually hospitalized, and the parents stayed up all night.
I love a manager being like, "Oh, there's a guy who's just randomly back in our kitchen. I'm gonna tell him to leave." Okay. Oh, he's still there? The fact that he had to tell him 3 times. Like, hey, is that random guy still in the kitchen? Yeah, it's a bad manager. I think the manager is worse
would not stand for that.
The manager is worse than the criminal.
To be fair, he may have been holding knives when he told him to leave.
Mm.
Yeah, but the manager's got knives. That's what makes him a manager.
Ah, bigger knives.
Yeah.
There were some drugs going on in the kitchen we worked together. There were some uppers, weren't there? I mean, I never did that. I in hindsight, dishwashing was the worst job I ever had. I was a dishwasher at Bennett's Turkey Restaurant. I was a dishwasher at Friendly's Ice Cream. I wish I had some weed. Maybe not meth, but that would have helped. It's a terrible job.
I would have loved
the worst job I ever had.
I would have loved if I weed. It was such a bad job. Such a bad job, but what are you going to do? Meth. It's a good one.
All right,
if I hadn't already given out Listener of the Week, I would have done it for you.
Well, you could give an extra one. I don't think anyone got one.
Aaron, get your finger ready.
Our next story is about Reza Paratesh, an Iranian who doubles as a Lionel Messi lookalike and reportedly used his Messi-like looks in order to sleep with 23 women.
It's awesome. Now, did he brag about this? Did the 23 women come forward? Because it reminds me of the guy. This is even better than this. Because Lionel Messi is a legend. He's one of the most famous people in the world. So to tell people, I'm him, and you tell a woman that, and she's so impressed. She knows who Messi is, so she's impressed enough to sleep with you, but doesn't know what Messi looks like, is hilarious. Though you've got a sweet spot of ignorance that you've got to go in. It reminds me of the guy who said that he was Ben Roethlisberger. Do you remember this guy? He said he was Ben Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh and was like dating a girl, and then went over to the neighbor's house and signed a bunch of their stuff, and then that's how he got arrested. Because they were like, you ruined this football and this jersey, so you have to pay us back for the football and the jersey. But he would go around town and he would tell people he was like the backup quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Before he would say he was Ben Roethlisberger, he would say backup quarterback. And then one of the women said she was watching the game and saw the backup quarterback who he said he was on the sidelines and sees that's not the guy I'm sleeping with, calls him on the spot. He answers the phone and she goes, "What the fuck? You're not whoever." And he goes, "I look different without my helmet. I look different with my helmet on." And that's how he tried to get out of it. It was amazing. And then the cops were like, no harm, no foul. All these women you fucked, that's fine. Just pay for the jersey you signed. That I wonder what Messi's going through right now.
Well, I don't know if it was, it's a different part of the world. It said government officials are apparently who came up with this 23 women number. Like, how'd they get to 23? Like, it wasn't 21, it wasn't 24. They actually talked to 23 women. In Iran, I don't know what the laws here would be, but he's fighting back hard, saying he did not use his lookalike status and that he's being, smeared publicly. But I would trust the women. As always, I do want to show you a picture just in case you hadn't seen it. Our listeners can check it out on YouTube. He does a pretty good job, I got to admit. He was told pretty often that he looked like Messi, so he decided to grow the beard and then just start dressing like him, and then using that in a way to grow an Instagram page where he has nearly 1 million followers.
Yeah, good for you. I don't understand the difference between I slept with him because he looked like a guy who was good at soccer to I slept with him because he was good at soccer. They both seem fine to me. That
because he was. It's not. I don't know if it's a crime. Maybe it is in Iran if you're representing yourself as someone else, or maybe you're not supposed to be sleeping with all these people. In general, there's ethics, laws.
Yeah, I think he probably didn't say anything. Someone was probably like, "Are you Lionel Messi?" And he was like, "Ha, World Cup." And she was like, "All right, let's go fuck." He might have been as honest as he had to be. It's not that hard. Messi's a good-looking guy. I wonder what Messi thinks. Is Messi like, let's hang out? If there was someone going around pretending to be me sleeping with people, I'd team up.
I mean, one of the clues I would think for the women would be that why is Messi just hanging out at bars in Iran?
Yeah.
That would be a tip-off. Mm-hmm. That'd be a tip-off.
Why doesn't he speak Spanish? Also.
Right. I don't know how he's using it. I don't know, how he's going to take advantage of his Instagram page. It doesn't seem like Messi is really on board with this guy. I don't think there's been any interaction with Messi.
There should be. It's a missed opportunity, Messi. You could have been one of the greats.
last headline.
All right, we end in Germany, where ant sex has shut off the internet for the entire village near Waldenburg in western Germany. Ants getting busy. They chose a distribution box from a local telecommunications provider as their love nest in the village near Waldenburg, like I mentioned. And it turns out ant sex, and you may not know this, Anthony, but I do. Ant sex leaves behind an acid after they've done their business that ended up eating through the cables and the circuit boards.
Oh yeah, I mean ants are just like me. When they're done, it burns through whatever it touches. Aaron, do you remember that? Remember when we had to replace the shelves in the refrigerator?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fucked up. I like this story because it sounds like someone doesn't understand what happened with the internet. It sounds like they called somebody and they were like, hey, the internet's out. And they brought a flashlight, looked in the box and were like, oh, fuck, I don't know. See, what happened was the ants were fucking. And it's all burned up. I have to call in my boss here and just walked away. Like, I don't understand how the people believe them. I would have to have like many doctors tell me this was the case before I was like, oh, okay, when's the internet going to be back up? I would not believe the first person who told me.
Right, and because they're just like one box in every town. Like, well, yeah, that's the box that keeps the internet on for the rest of the town. You just got to keep the ants out.
Don't let sugar get in there.
That doesn't seem like a logical explanation.
How come no one's ever been burned at a picnic by the acid? When they set up the internet, how long has the internet been around, Aaron? 10 years?
Oh, more than that.
12 years. When they set up the internet 12 years ago, was someone like, this is going to be great. You just have to watch out for ants. One ant is fine. Two ants, they're going to be fucking, and we're going to lose the internet. Because I've never heard of this ever before. I would think they're like, hey, we don't understand what's happening. Someone goes up and they're like, these wires are broken. I don't know. How did the wires melt? What could have done it? Are there ants there? Like, don't tell me they got to this quickly. Don't do it.
Well, it's mating season for the ants in the spring.
I feel like mating season for ants is a 24/7, 365 experience, right?
Fuck yeah.
Can you imagine going up to an ant and being like, you want to fuck? And they're like, no, it's May. I can't even imagine it.
The problem is they said this year Telecom, the company with a K, said 5 different failures due to ant infestations. According to spokesman Jorg von Wagner. I mean, it was just like the most German-sounding telecom spokesman out there.
What else could Germany blame on ants? If they really wanted to. You know? It's like, what happened to the Reichstag? That was ants. You know what I'm talking about, Reichstag. Was it the Reichstag, the big fire, where they blamed the Jews for it, but was it clearly Hitler?
I do. I just read about it.
That was ants. That was ants. I know my history, and now it's time for recommendation station. Greg, what do you got?
It's uncanny how you led me into the Berlin stories by Christopher Isherwood, which includes the Reichstag as a part of the book. Mm-hmm. Uncanny. Do you also know that this was the second ever Anthony Jeselnik recommendation on the Jeselnik and Rosenthal Vanity Project?
JRVP.
Junior Vice President.
I remembered reading it a long time ago. A friend gave it to me years ago, and I didn't remember that I recommended it, but I do remember reading it, and it was great.
It happened. I happened to check the JRVP website, jrvprecommendationstation.com. You can check it out if you ever want to find our old ones. And I happened to notice it was your second ever recommendation. It was a present given to me by Dean for Christmas. I just read it while on vacation here in Japan. It's 2 novellas put together. It's set in the 1930s in Berlin. I think why it's lasted so long is like it's not about the incoming Hitler takeover. It's just a gay guy living in Berlin, although he's not really out in the book, but Christopher Isherwood was out in real life eventually, and kind of the crazy bohemian life he was living in Berlin, and really gives a picture of what it was like to live there at the time. But then there is this creeping Nazis are like on the come up that is part of the stories, but not really. It's just like well-written stories about his life in Berlin and what it was like to be there. And the crazy thing for me was thinking, like, you can feel like the Nazis coming and people aren't really taking it too seriously. They just think it's like kind of BS. It's not really going to take over. Like, the Jews will be fine, all this stuff. And then it starts getting real a little bit. And like, it starts getting real in like 1932. And I'm thinking, like, my grandparents lived there for another 9 years. My dad was born here 9 years after that. So I want to know what happened to them in those 9 years, but I will never be able to find out. So talk to your grandparents. Get the stories from them while they're still around. That's my PSA.
My recommendation, I'm gonna do 2 this week, just for the fun of it. I meant to mention this up top, but Queens of the Stone Age has a new album out called In Times New Roman, and it's great. I really enjoy it. It's a short album. I don't think it's like a big single, but it's a fun album. I've listened to it a few times. I'm gonna listen to it on my way home tonight. I love it. Queens of the Stone Age in Times New Roman. My book this week is a book I read a few weeks ago. It's a nonfiction book. It's called Monsters, A Fan's Dilemma by Claire Dederer, Dederer. It is a book of essays about like what it means to be a fan in a time when we're finding out horrible things about people we worship. You know, like, what does it say about you if you still laugh at Bill Cosby? What does it say about you if you still are into Louis C.K.? Or like, what they go through different like examples, and you know, let's say your favorite musician, you know, gets a divorce, you know, or gets caught for domestic violence. Like, what's the line where it's now irresponsible to be a fan? You know, is it any kind of moral failing, or is it something like more terrible? It's something that I'm always interested in. And the book does a great job. And again, it came out about a month ago. It's all very current. That's Monsters, A Fan's Dilemma by Claire Dederer. And also Queens of the Stone Age in Times New Roman. Aaron, you got anything for 4th of July?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have checked it out, but the new season of Black Mirror is on Netflix, and it is as crazy as it always is.
I haven't watched Black Mirror in a while, but I might check it out. Liz likes it. Yeah. I don't like to do things Liz likes, but maybe I will. I did watch The Bachelorette last night, so that's what I'm all about. Yeah. And that was
Choo-choo!
Recommendation Station. Debbie, happy 4th of July. I love you, America.
Whoa, Nelly Furtado. That's a spicy meatball. Is that okay, Gregg?